I want to talk about a different reality that no one has ever clearly explained to you before. It's the fact that looking poor actually has a psychological reality to it, and this psychological reality isn't just about what you wear or your financial situation. To give an example, it's related to your speaking style, the way you walk, the emotions you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror, and how you sit in any given setting. All of these are somehow connected. So even when you don't realize it, you're constantly sending various signals to those around you, and these signals can actually make you appear in a much lower position than you actually are. In this video, we'll be covering the details of exactly these points. There won't be any overly complex theories that overwhelm you, nor will there be some utopian goals you think you'll never be able to achieve. I'll simply talk about 10 effective points that are honest, grounded in reality, drawn from real life, and easy to apply. But before we jump right into the first point, I have a very small request for you. Go to the comments section right now and write just this: I'm starting today for myself, because writing something down is very different from just keeping it in your mind. The moment you write it, that thought becomes a promise, and a promise is something far more likely to be kept. Don't underestimate this. Write it now, then keep reading. Ready? Then let's start with the first point. 1. How a cheap-looking, ordinary pair of shoes can ruin even a high-quality outfit. Imagine a scenario where you look in the mirror at any time during the day. Sometimes you might think everything looks perfectly normal, that you look just fine. So your blouse is perfectly neat, your skirt is neatly ironed, your hair is combed and styled nicely. But just then, your eyes drift to your feet, and your feelings can get a bit complicated. Because, as you know, the feet aren't actually the first part of an outfit people notice. But if something's off with your shoes, you can be sure they're not the last thing people notice either. When people automatically assess you without even realizing it, their eyes actually start evaluating you as a whole. They tend to do that. So, from top to bottom, or bottom to top, as a whole. And generally speaking, at that moment, your shoes are like the concluding paragraph of a text. You can think of it as a sentence that sums everything up, making you think, so that's all there is to it. When a high-quality, well-fitting outfit and perfectly styled, well-groomed hair are paired with a shoe that's severely worn out or looks very simple and cheap, all your effort suddenly comes into question. I want to emphasize here that what I'm talking about has absolutely nothing to do with money. I'm not saying you have to wear an expensive pair of shoes. What I'm focusing on here is attention to detail. Is the shoe's shape neat? Is it clean? Does the color match the outfit you're wearing? After all, if the answer to these questions is yes, you'll have shown the other person that you're presentable and well-groomed, that you care, without spending a fortune. The critical factor here isn't the brand. As I said, you're the one wearing them. Think about it this way. Let's say you're heading to an important meeting. Your suit is perfectly appropriate, stylish, and chosen with great care in every way. But your shoes are quite worn out. The laces are faded and they look shabby. At that moment, everyone in that environment can easily notice these details. So even if they don't point it out to you with words, the impression that you aren't someone who pays much attention to details begins to form in everyone's mind. The best part of all this is actually this: the attention paid to your shoes, in a way, reflects your mental state outwardly. So, a well-maintained pair of shoes that meets the criteria I just mentioned says, I already take good care of myself. But a disheveled, shabby pair of shoes sends the message, nothing is really that important to me, and this energy is very easily felt by the other person. Today, for example, you can do something very simple regarding this topic. Take off all your shoes and evaluate them one by one. Determine which ones have reached the end of their lifespan, or which ones simply need proper care and a good cleaning. Which ones haven't you actually felt the need to wear in a long time, yet you can't bring yourself to throw them away? This small assessment you'll make will, in a way, reveal not just the state of your wardrobe, but the importance you place on yourself. And remember, noticing these things is always the first step toward change. I also know this. You're probably not watching the first video on this channel. Maybe you're on the second, maybe the third, and you're still not subscribed. I'm saying this sincerely. It really saddens me. Because you're taking the time to watch this content, you're looking for something on this journey, and I want to be with you on this journey too. If you subscribe, you'll not only support this effort in the strongest way possible, but will also never lose touch again. Plus, there's a new hype feature on YouTube right now. If you tap that, it really makes a huge difference in helping your videos reach more people. Thank you from the bottom of my heart in advance. 2. How investing in fewer but high-quality pieces effortlessly leaves behind the wearing a lot but carrying nothing mindset. I want you to picture this scenario. For example, you open your closet and it's absolutely packed to the brim. Yet every morning that feeling of "I have nothing to wear" still creeps up on you. If this is the case, it's truly not a coincidence. In a way, it's the silent admission of your unnecessary investments in the wrong direction coming to light. Because here's the thing, having too many things doesn't necessarily mean you have something truly high quality or something that conveys a sense of richness. The concept of abundance often leads to unclear decisions and scattered results. Imagine this. Suppose you had 5 distinct outfits and pieces, each one you could comfortably wear, perfectly coordinated with one another and truly flattering to you. How would that make you feel? In other words, in such a scenario, every morning when you open your closet, you'd feel more confident and clear-headed rather than panicked, wouldn't you? Essentially, since what we wear clearly represents us, we don't give others the opportunity to interpret us in this way. This emotional state I'm talking about is actually related to the number of clothes in your wardrobe. As you know, this concept, the capsule wardrobe, has been discussed in the fashion world for a very long time. However, many people view it as some kind of luxury. Yet the reality here points to the exact opposite. Instead of filling your closet with hundreds of pieces bought on a good enough or just okay basis from every sale you find and spending a lot of money in the process, a wardrobe consisting of truly good, high-quality pieces will yield far more effective results. Because here, having just a few high-quality pieces will set you apart much more easily. The key point here is this. When I talk about quality, I'm definitely not referring to extremely expensive clothes. In fact, quality refers to how the fabric feels in your hands, whether the stitching is neat and how well it fits your body, or it's about how well the color holds up over time. Of course, you don't need to be a top-tier fashion expert to clearly understand these things. To give an example, when you pick up a piece of clothing, you'll start to figure out in a short time whether this will last a long time, or will it look good on you anywhere. If a piece meets these criteria, it actually means it's high quality for you. If the answer to these questions isn't yes, then no matter how much that piece costs, it won't take you anywhere. You've surely seen this around you. There are plenty of people who wear a lot of things but just can't carry themselves properly. Every day they might present looks that clash heavily with what they wore the day before. Of course, this image sends a message to those around them. I'm not really sure who I am, so I can try different things every day. However, as I mentioned earlier, a woman who dresses from a wardrobe composed of carefully curated outfits and high-quality pieces clearly communicates to those around her that she knows herself very well, understands what suits her and what doesn't, and doesn't actually need anyone else's approval on such matters. Of course, this critical point I'm discussing isn't just about appearance. In other words, you're showing what you invest in and what you prioritize in your life. And especially if you continue to live in the buy the cheapest option, then buy it again cycle when making decisions about yourself. This indicates a tendency to fall into a similar cycle in other areas of your life as well. The first chance you get, Head straight to your closet. Pick up each piece one by one and apply the criteria I just mentioned to each one. Ask yourself, does this truly reflect who I am? Any pieces that don't get a clear yes to those criteria and questions can be categorized as items that don't reflect you and set aside. Of course, I understand that letting go of the pieces that don't work for you might feel a bit difficult at first. However, as I mentioned, a wardrobe filled with high-quality, authentic pieces will have a profoundly positive impact on your morning choices, and consequently, your mood throughout the day. And thanks to these positive days, you'll naturally experience a more positive transformation. 3. The moments when your demeanor and small habits at the table make a difference. Now, the critical point here is this. When you sit down at a table, everyone at that table is watching you. You might not notice it, and the people across from you might not even be doing it consciously. But the human mind is constantly in evaluation mode. And the small habits that emerge at the table are nothing more than the surface manifestation of a lifestyle ingrained over many years. How you dress can be changed. How you eat, however, reveals something much deeper. Essentially, the behavior at the table is like a stage. On that stage, who you are, how you were raised, and how much value you place on yourself and others becomes visible. Sitting up straight, holding the fork properly, eating your bites without rushing, and placing your phone face down while speaking to the person across from you, these things may seem small. But the sum of these small things forms a larger picture that defines you. To give an example, how you speak to the waitstaff is perhaps the sharpest part of that picture. Someone who treats a person serving them with respect demonstrates a strong inner world. Conversely, someone who treats someone with less authority or lower income rudely tells everyone at that table a great deal, not through money or status, but solely through their attitude in that moment. And this attitude cannot be masked by any outfit. Of course, there's also this. How you eat is a reflection of how you care for yourself. Someone who eats hurriedly, messily, as if trying to finish everything as quickly as possible, may be living their life at that same pace. On the other hand, someone who slows down, savors each bite, and keeps the table tidy is saying, "I value this moment." And this energy is felt from the other side of the table. As a result, observe yourself while eating today. How many times did you check your phone? Were you truly present with the person across from you? Did you lean over your plate, or did you sit upright? Were you in a hurry, or did you truly savor that bite? These questions aren't meant to make you feel small, they're meant to help you grow, because the greatest transformations begin with the simplest decisions made in the most ordinary moments, and your next meal could take you one step further. 4. How bad color combinations can make you invisible, while the right colors have the power to make you stand out. As many of us might guess, when you walk into a room, what catches people's attention isn't what you say, it's how you look. And the most powerful element of your appearance, perhaps far more than you realize, is the colors you wear. Colors speak, silently but very clearly. They can say, "I'm here," or "Don't notice me." And most of the time, it's not you who chooses this message. It's the combination you create without realizing it. Of course, there's also this. It's hard to describe what a bad color combination looks like, but it's very easy to understand how it makes you feel. Colors that have no harmony between top and bottom, tones that clash, choices that clash with your skin tone and wash out your face. These physically push you into the background. People see you, but their eyes don't linger, because the eye quickly rejects disharmony and drifts elsewhere. You're there, but it's as if you're not. On the other hand, the right color combination does the exact opposite. It brings you forward, illuminates your face, balances your figure, and leaves you with a sense of "this is it," even if you're not the most eye-catching person in the room. This effect doesn't come from expensive clothes, but from the harmony colors create with each other and with your skin tone. And you don't need to be naturally gifted to achieve this harmony. Understanding a few basic principles is enough. Looking at it from another angle, the safest starting point is this. The color you wear closest to your skin determines everything. Depending on your skin tone, some shades make you look vibrant and energetic, while others make you look pale and tired. The easiest way to figure this out is to hold different colored clothes up to the mirror throughout the day and look at your face. The color that makes your eyes sparkle and your skin glow is your color. Find that color and stick to it. Also, never forget this. A multitude of colors does not equate to color knowledge. Wearing 3 or more distinct colors at the same time often creates a scattered effect. The eye doesn't know where to focus and ends up focusing nowhere. On the other hand, the balanced use of 2 colors, or even an outfit built around a single main color, is simple yet powerful. Simplicity is not poverty. Simplicity is the choice of someone who knows what works. 5. Shopping in a hurry and with anxiety puts you in whatever I can find mode. Here's the reality. For example, you have an important meeting, you're going to work tomorrow morning, or there's an event this weekend. You can't find anything to wear in your closet. You rush out in a panic, and there's only one thought in your mind. I need to find something right now. That's the moment when the worst shopping decisions are made, because someone who goes shopping in that state of mind isn't looking for what they need, but rather to alleviate their current anxiety. Naturally, when shopping out of anxiety, the brain works differently. You stop being selective and start looking for a quick fix. That's why the things you buy thinking, well, it'll do, I'm in a hurry anyway, end up hanging in your closet, never to be worn. Because that outfit wasn't a real choice, it was a panic reaction. And over time, panic reactions fill your closet with useless items. Each one has its own "that's just how it went that day" story, but none of them truly belong to you. The most insidious and invisible aspect of this is, this cycle feeds on itself. Clothes bought in a hurry aren't worn much. When they aren't worn much, the closet feels empty again. When the closet feels empty, the next time a stressful moment hits, you rush out again, and you shop in the same impulsive way. In the end, you've spent money and still don't have what you truly need. This isn't a matter of luck, it's a matter of habit. The critical question here is, how do you break this cycle? First, you need to accept this. Shopping isn't an emergency solution. It should be a conscious, planned decision made in advance. You need to ask yourself questions like, what do I have? What do I need? Which items go well together? On a calm day, standing in front of your closet, without rushing. These questions will lead you to a list, and that list will take you out of the "whatever I find" mode and into the "I know what I'm looking for" mode during your next shopping trip. Finally, I should add this. A small but effective step for today could be this. For example, before your next shopping trip, set aside 5 minutes at home. Look in your closet and identify just one thing that's truly missing. Just one. Go out with that one thing clearly in mind. In the store, you'll look for that one thing and ignore the rest. This exercise sounds simple, but it builds the mental muscle you need to break free from the "whatever I find" mindset. And as that muscle grows stronger, both your confidence in your wardrobe and in yourself will change. 6. A minimalist and simple style always looks more powerful than a style that's too much. Friend, let me tell you this. There are 2 ways to stand out when you walk into a room. The first, you're wearing so much that the eye doesn't know where to look. Big logos, bold patterns, layered accessories, clashing colors. The second, there's so little on you that there's only one place to look. Your confident posture and every simple yet perfectly placed piece. The first grabs attention. The second leaves a lasting impression. The difference between these two is one that most people never think about but feel most acutely. I want to ask you this. Why does a style that's too much look weak? Because it unconsciously reveals something, the need for validation. The more you pile on, the louder the "look at me" message becomes. And people read this message subconsciously. What's loud isn't actually what's confident. What's confident can be silent. That's why simplicity is power. Because it says, I don't need more. In fact, when you look at people who are truly considered stylish in the world, most share a common trait. They carry little, but they carry what they have perfectly. An outfit built around a single color, a well-fitting single piece, a simple yet high-quality accessory. These people's appearance isn't complicated, but it leaves a lasting impression. Because the eye seeks something deep within a simple surface, and often finds it. That depth is the person themselves, not the clothes. Of course, it's easy to misunderstand minimalism. Dressing simply doesn't mean looking indifferent or uninterested. On the contrary, there is far more thought and self-awareness behind simplicity. Knowing which piece truly works, being able to see which one to leave out, and being able to say, this is enough. These are the decisions of someone who knows themselves well. And this self-awareness sends a very clear signal to the outside world. This person knows who they are. Ultimately, so why do so many people shy away from simplicity? Because simplicity takes courage. Saying this is who I am and that's enough is far harder than hiding behind a lot of things. An extravagant style distracts. A simple style, however, stands right in the center and says, come, look at me. And to withstand that gaze, there must be something solid inside. Choosing simplicity is, in fact, choosing self-confidence. 7. The cycle where the way you dress affects your self-confidence, and your self-confidence affects the way you dress. We've come to one of the most important and valuable points. When you decide what to wear in the morning, you're actually deciding how you'll feel that day. You might not realize it, but that's how it works. The first thing you put on is the first message sent to your body. Are you saying, I took care of myself today? Or, what's the difference? Who's even looking? The difference between these two messages sets a very different foundation for the rest of the day. And everything built on that foundation carries the imprint of that first decision. There's actually another truth here. The human mind and body don't operate separately. How your body is dressed directly influences how your mind positions itself. When you step out in disheveled, unkempt or ill-fitting clothes, your shoulders drop, your steps shorten, and your voice lowers without you even realizing it. No one has said a word to you, but something inside you has already shifted, because the message from the outside reaches the inside as well. Of course, the reverse works with the same force. When you look in the mirror in the morning wearing an outfit you've carefully chosen, one that suits you and fits your body well, something changes. Your posture improves. Your steps become a bit more confident. When you start speaking, a noticeable clarity emerges in your voice. This isn't magic, it's the reflection of the message sent outward. When your body receives a signal that makes it feel good, your mind adjusts accordingly. So let me ask this, where does the cycle begin? With self-confidence or with the way you dress? The answer could be both. But here's the beautiful part. Building self-confidence from scratch is difficult. Changing the way you dress, however, can be done right now. And this change begins to subtly influence your self-confidence as well. So the easiest way to enter this cycle is through the outside. Fix the outside first. The inside will eventually follow suit. In addition to this, there's also a dark side to this cycle. If you've been dressing without taking care of yourself for a long time, this habit gradually turns into the belief that this is just who I am, and once that belief takes root, dressing well starts to feel pointless. Thoughts like, what's the point? Or, this isn't for me, aren't actually a choice. They're the product of a cycle. To break that cycle, you first need to see it. And when you see it, you'll realize this. This cycle doesn't hold you captive. When you stop feeding it, the cycle lets you go. For example, try this today. Tomorrow morning, even when heading to the most ordinary place you have to go, present your best self. Whether it's the grocery store or the dry cleaners, it doesn't matter. Dress with care, look in the mirror, and notice. Observe how you talk to yourself that day, how you walk, and how you make eye contact with others. Most likely, something will be different. And that difference will teach you this. Turning the cycle in the direction you want is possible from a starting point much closer than you think. 8. How neglecting dental care quietly erodes people's trust in you. I want to start with this harsh reality. The moment you start speaking, there's something noticed long before your outfit. Your mouth, your smile, the way your lips part as you speak, the tone of your voice. And at that moment, your teeth, whether you want to believe it or not, leave a silent yet powerful impression on how the person across from you evaluates you. This isn't a superficial judgment. The human mind tries to understand how much care the person in front of them takes of themselves, and dental care is one of the most visible indicators of that care. Let me give you an example. Two people are standing in the same room, wearing the same clothes, exuding the same confidence. When one smiles, yellowed, neglected teeth are visible. When the other smiles, a clean, well-maintained smile appears. What is the automatic feeling that forms in your mind about the second person? It's the thought, this person takes care of themselves, and this thought plants the seed of trust. Trust isn't built through words, clothing, or status. It's often built through these small but consistent signals. In reality, neglecting dental care often stems not from carelessness, but from a lack of habit or opportunity. Perhaps this habit was never established in childhood. Perhaps it was put off for years with the thought, "I'll do it later." Perhaps you didn't even notice, but what you didn't notice is exactly what the person across from you does notice, and this realization often manifests not as a verbal criticism, but as a gradual loss of trust. They won't tell you, but they feel it. Of course, there's another aspect to consider. When you think about how powerful a smile actually is, this issue becomes even more significant. A sincere smile is one of the most effective forms of body language. It puts people at ease, builds connections, and conveys warmth. But if you start holding back your smile because of neglected teeth, you're depriving yourself of this tool. You open your mouth less when speaking, avoid smiling in photos, and hesitate to laugh out loud. And this shyness eventually becomes ingrained. It's no longer just about your teeth, but becomes associated with a general sense of withdrawal. I also want to mention that dental care is a long-term investment. A little care shown today protects both your appearance and overall health in the years to come. Habits like brushing twice a day, using floss occasionally, and going for regular checkups may sound ordinary, but these ordinary habits accumulate over the years to make a huge difference. Maintaining this routine, one of the most basic forms of self-care, also means saying, "I care about my future." And finally, I must add this. You don't have to have perfect teeth. No one expects you to have the smile of a toothpaste commercial model. But a well-maintained, clean, and carefully cared-for smile is always possible. And that smile says something you don't say, but everyone hears when you walk into a room. I value myself. Once you internalize that message, the rest follows naturally. 9. How someone complaining about money suddenly becomes invisible in a room. Now, what I want to say here is this. You walk into a room. You're with acquaintances or new people. The conversation flows, everyone is sharing stories, and right then, someone starts. "The bills were really heavy this month. My salary isn't enough anymore. Everything has gotten so expensive, it's impossible to get by." At first, you might feel sympathy, but by the 5th, the 10th time, when the same complaint is repeated in every conversation, something inside you shifts without you even noticing. That person is still there, talking, but you're no longer really listening. Your mind has drifted elsewhere. This is the moment when invisibility begins. Here's the reality. The human mind filters out repetitive complaints very quickly, because complaints don't produce solutions, they consume energy. And people are subconsciously programmed to distance themselves from things that drain energy. Someone who constantly complains about money without realizing it sends the same message to those around them. I'm stuck in this situation and don't expect to get out of it. This message creates distance, not interest. And that distance creeps in silently. No one will tell you, I don't want to listen to you anymore, but you'll notice you weren't invited to the next meeting. Of course, first and foremost, we need to make a very important distinction here. Opening up to someone you trust about going through a tough time is an entirely different matter. Everyone needs this from time to time, and it's a perfectly human thing to do. But constantly talking about your financial struggles in every setting, every conversation, with everyone, is something else entirely. The first approach builds trust and connection. The second, however, reduces you to a one-dimensional character, and one-dimensional characters can never be the main hero of any story. Also, don't forget this. What you say about money reveals your relationship with it. Someone who says, I have no money, everything is too expensive, it's impossible to get by, views money as an enemy, and what you see as an enemy stays away from you. Don't think of this as some mystical concept. It's a very practical reality. The way you talk about money reflects the mental relationship you've built with it. And this relationship also influences how the people around you perceive you. No one wants to spend much time in the same room with someone who radiates an energy that loses money. So let me ask this: what can be done instead? It's not about not complaining or acting as if everything is fine. Honesty is always valuable. But here's the difference. Complaining keeps you stuck in the problem. Speaking in a solution-oriented way, however, lifts you above the problem. Saying, the bills are really heavy this month, instead of, I need to reorganize some things this month, I'm looking for different approaches, conveys the same truth with a very different energy. And this energy places both you and the listener in a different place. 10. The truth that investing in yourself isn't selfishness, but earning the world's respect for you. Now, the critical point here is this. As you grew up, you might have heard, don't just think of yourself, think of others too. Perhaps this phrase left you with the belief that taking care of yourself is a form of selfishness. And this belief quietly took root over the years. It led to feeling guilty for taking time for yourself, feeling the need to justify treating yourself to something nice and looking only at the scraps left over for yourself while giving everything to others. But we need to ask, does this behavior truly benefit others, or is it just draining you? Moreover, investing in yourself, getting a haircut, buying a well-fitting outfit, maintaining a sleep schedule, nourishing your mind and taking care of your body is not selfish. On the contrary, these are the things that keep you standing, and only someone who is standing can support another. Someone who is drained, exhausted, and has made zero investment in themselves, no matter how well-intentioned they may be, cannot truly contribute to those around them. Because to give, you must first be full. For example, think about how the world treats you right now. How much respect do people show you? How seriously are your words taken? How often do offers, opportunities, and connections come your way? The answers to these questions are often directly related not to external circumstances, but to the investment you make within yourself. A person who invests in themselves stands out differently, speaks differently, and carries a different energy. And the world reads this energy. Respect is earned not by demanding it, but by the value you carry. Looking at it from another angle, you might think that investing in yourself requires money. But the majority of this investment isn't made with money, it's made with attention. Adding 10 minutes to your morning routine, paying a little more attention to what you eat, learning something new every day, keeping yourself physically active. None of these require a large budget, but the sum of all these over time takes you to a very different place. And that place changes how others see you. You can be sure of this. The biggest obstacle on this journey is often not external circumstances, but that old voice inside you. You can't spare that much time for yourself. That money is needed for something else. Who do you think you are? This voice is the sound of a habit that's grown accustomed to keeping you small. You don't have to reject it when you hear it. You can simply ask a different question instead. What if I invest in myself? And when you truly try to answer that question, the answer always points in a direction that helps you grow. After discussing the 10 effective points I mentioned in this video, I can briefly say that there's a clear truth underlying all of them. What we call looking poor is actually not primarily about money. It's about the value you place on yourself. And once you begin to seriously learn to value yourself, you'll see that everything starts to change more rapidly. First, your wardrobe will change. Then your walk will change. Your tone of voice will change. And the energy you project outward will definitely change. As a result, the people around you will remain the same, but you'll start to see them and even look at them from a different perspective. And this new, different perspective will, of course, forever change the way the world sees you. As I said, never forget that looking poor has nothing to do with how many zeros are in your bank account. It starts and ends with the value you place on yourself. Now, regarding what I've mentioned, you can take a small step today. You can start by changing a bad habit or by letting go of a complaint. Because as you know, transformation isn't achieved through grand decisions. It happens through a series of small, right and actionable choices. If this video added even a single thing to your day, don't forget to hit the like button, because content like this will continue, and your small support is what helps us keep this journey going together. Take care of yourself. Really take care of yourself. Because as someone who watched this video all the way through, you now know this. Change doesn't start with big decisions. It starts with the small steps you take today. You are the author of your own story, and the best part of that story hasn't been written yet. See you in the next video.